Fortaleza, Brazil, August 5th, 2005. For everyone outside this building, it was an ordinary Monday morning. Employees arrived. Cars moved through the streets. And inside the Banco Central, nobody knew that hundreds of millions of reals had already disappeared.
The building was designed to protect money. Thick walls, security systems, restricted areas, and a vault containing an enormous amount of Brazilian currency. From the outside, there was no obvious sign that anything had happened. That was the problem. Employees began arriving as usual. Doors opened, lights came on, people entered their offices. Then someone noticed something strange. The vault didn't look right. At first, it was difficult to understand what they were seeing. There was no dramatic explosion, no obvious gunfight, no shattered entrance. Instead, there was an opening where there shouldn't have been one. And when investigators looked inside, they discovered that the bank had been robbed, not by breaking through the front door, but from underneath. The amount was staggering, more than 160 million Brazilian reais. At the time, the haul was worth roughly 70 million US dollars. It would later be described as one of the largest bank robberies in history. But the money wasn't the strangest part. The tunnel was. Police searched for the obvious explanation. Who had entered? How would they bypass security? Where were the alarms? But the more they looked, the stranger the case became. Because the burglars hadn't simply broken into the bank, they had spent months preparing to reach it. Investigators began reconstructing the scene, and then they found a route, a tunnel, hidden beneath the city, running from a rented property toward the bank. Suddenly, the burglary made sense. The tunnel was not a simple hole in the ground. It was a carefully constructed underground passage, long enough to connect an ordinary-looking property to one of the most secure financial buildings in the country. From above, almost nothing revealed what was happening below. Investigators descended into the darkness. The walls showed signs of extensive work. The passage had been designed for people to move through it. It had lighting, it had ventilation, and it had been constructed with a single purpose: reach the vault. The distance was enormous, hundreds of feet of underground construction. Every meter represented time, labor, noise, and risk. The burglars weren't improvising. They were building an entire underground route without attracting attention. That raised another question. How? How could so much construction happen beneath a city without anyone becoming suspicious? The answer appeared to be ordinary life. A nearby property had been rented. From the street, it looked unremarkable. People came and went. Nothing appeared unusual. But beneath the building, the operation was taking shape. Investigators discovered that the burglars had created the appearance of normal commercial activity. That mattered, because people rarely question what looks ordinary. A business, a rental property, workers coming and going. Nothing dramatic, nothing that demanded attention. And that was the brilliance of the operation. The burglars didn't try to defeat the city. They tried to disappear into it. While people above lived normal lives, the tunnel slowly moved closer to the bank. For months, the operation continued. Digging, removing soil, reinforcing the passage, preparing for the final breakthrough. Every step brought the group closer to an enormous amount of money.
and closer to being discovered.
Eventually, the tunnel reached its destination. The burglars were now beneath the bank. The final barrier remained. Above them, a vault. Inside it, a fortune. Then came the breakthrough. The group entered the vault area through the underground passage. There was no warning from outside. No crowd saw them. No dramatic chase began. The most important part of the robbery happened almost completely out of sight. Inside, the burglars took the cash, millions upon millions of reals. They loaded it into bags and moved it back through the tunnel, again and again, until the vault had been emptied of a staggering amount of money. Then they disappeared. Not through a secret elevator, not through a hidden vehicle entrance. They simply returned through the tunnel and emerged into an ordinary city. From the outside, nothing had changed. The streets looked normal, the rented property looked normal, the bank looked normal, and the people of Fortaleza went about their weekend. Nobody knew what was underneath them.
Then Monday arrived. Employees entered the Banco Central. The vault was opened, and the truth became impossible to ignore. The money was gone. The discovery triggered one of the largest criminal investigations in Brazil. Investigators photographed everything, measured the tunnel, collected evidence, and began asking a terrifying question: how many people had known? News spread quickly. Brazilian media descended on Fortaleza. The tunnel became an international sensation. People wanted to see it, to understand it, to imagine how something so large could remain hidden for so long. But investigators had another problem. The money was already moving. Cash doesn't leave fingerprints in the same way a bank account does. Once distributed, it can disappear quickly, and that made the investigation a race. Vehicles became important. Witnesses became important. Phone records became important. Every connection could lead investigators toward another member of the group. Slowly, the operation began to unravel. Arrests followed. Some suspects were identified. Others disappeared. Investigators discovered that what first looked like a small group was actually a much larger criminal operation. And then came another realization. The tunnel wasn't the entire story. The burglary required planning, property, equipment, transportation, people, money laundering, and a network capable of moving an enormous fortune after the robbery. Some of the stolen money was recovered, but much of it wasn't. Cash had already been spent, transferred, hidden, or simply disappeared. The tunnel could be found. The money was much harder. The investigation eventually spread far beyond Fortaleza. Authorities pursued suspects across Brazil. Some were arrested years later. Others faced prosecution, and the case continued long after the original burglary disappeared from the headlines. But even after arrests, one question remained. How had nobody noticed the tunnel? Not the neighbors, not passing pedestrians, not the surrounding businesses, not the bank itself. For months, the operation existed beneath everyone's feet. Today, the tunnel remains the most recognizable symbol of the crime. It represents something unusual, not brute force, not sophisticated hacking, but patience, planning, and an extraordinary willingness to spend months preparing for a single night. The burglary also exposed something uncomfortable about security. The strongest vault in the country could still be vulnerable from somewhere nobody was watching. Security protects what it knows to protect. The burglars found another direction. The case changed how people thought about bank security, because sometimes the threat doesn't come through the door. It comes from somewhere underneath, quietly, slowly, almost invisibly. Several people involved in the burglary were eventually arrested and prosecuted, but the investigation never recovered everything. The fortune was too large, the network was too complicated, and time had already done its work. The Banco Central burglary remains one of the most extraordinary bank robberies ever documented. Not because of a spectacular confrontation, there wasn't one. Not because cameras captured everything, they didn't. But because the entire operation happened, almost completely unseen. A quiet street, an ordinary building, a secure vault, and beneath them, a tunnel stretching through the darkness. The burglars didn't need to overpower the bank. They simply went around it. And perhaps that's the most unsettling part of the story. The biggest robbery wasn't hidden inside the bank. It was hidden underneath it.